Hello and welcome to our Midnight Election 2024 bulletin. I'm Seren.
And I'm Daisy. We've now got our first real results from this historic general election on a night when Labour is expected to storm to an unprecedented victory with 410 seats. The exit polls are predicting a majority of 170 for the party, with the Conservatives on just 131 seats. The first results have given Labour a great start in the North East, where council election staff have completed the fastest counts in the country.
To bring us up to date with those first results, we're joined by our reporter Mel. What's been happening in the last hour, Mel?
Our first few results are in, with Labour winning their first seat in Horton and Sunderland South with 18,837 votes, followed second by Reform with 11,668. The second result of the night following the same pattern, with Labour winning the seats for Blyth and Ashington with 20,030 votes, followed by Reform by 10,857. Both of these seats were won by Labour in the last election as well.
Thanks, Mel. One of the seats which will be a test of just how far the pendulum has swung from the Conservatives to Labour is just down the road in Gloucester. Joining us now from the count is our reporter Amy Woodward. Amy, can you just give us a background on the battle in Gloucester?
So Richard Graham has held the Gloucester seat since 2010. Currently his majority is 10,277. And Gloucester has flip-flop between Labour and Conservative pretty much on and off over the years.
And can you give us a feel for what the activity that's going on around you at the moment, Amy, and what the atmosphere is like, and when we're likely to get a result?
Well, we're likely to get a result around 3 a.m, 3:30 a.m. It's very calm here, but also there's definitely a lot of activity going on. But the ballots, they're going through the verification process at the moment. So they're just going under counting. At the moment, there's only two of the candidates here, the Reform and Labour candidate, I believe. So at the moment, it's not bustling, as we've seen up in Sunderland and Blythe Valley, but there is definitely activity going on around.
And we know you're a bit of a politics geek, Amy. Was this your first election that you voted in, and how's the whole experience been for you?
Yes, this has been the first election I voted in. Unfortunately, I was a month too young at the last one, so it's been a slightly weird experience because obviously this election was called when a lot of the universities had broken up, and as I'm from a Tory safe seat down in the south in Essex, it felt almost as if casting the vote in that area was a bit pointless. But then as the campaign went on, you started to sort of realise it wasn't as pointless as it may have been in the past. So it's definitely been one of those I'm part of history moments, and it's also definitely been quite exciting.
Thanks, Amy. We're joined again by our politics lecturer, Paul Wiltshire. Paul, just remind us of what we're expected to see in Gloucestershire over the next few hours.
Well, we kind of burrowed a bit more into the detail of what the exit poll says for Gloucestershire. There's absolutely no doubt that Alex Chalk will be finding himself a new job tomorrow, because Cheltenham is definitely going to go to the Lib Dems, according to the poll, and it looks as if the poll's going to be correct. Gloucester, where Amy just was, looks very likely to go Labour. Stroud, also Conservative at the moment, looks likely to go Labour. The polling companies say that Tewkesbury, which is just to the north of us here in Cheltenham, and the Forest of Dean are too close to call, so that they could go either way. Both of them held by the Conservatives at the moment. And the only part of Gloucestershire that's definitely, according to the poll, going to stay in Conservative hands is North Cotswolds, which is the bit around Cirencester.
Amazing. And are there any other big important seats that we're waiting to hear results from?
Well, we're waiting. We should, in the next hour or so, get our first seats from the West Country. So there's a couple of seats in Swindon that we're expecting soon. And I think it's worth saying, it's worth keeping an eye on the turnout figures for those first 2 seats were quite low. I think they were 53%. So there is some speculation that not many, people have decided maybe that it's so likely that it's going to be a Labour landslide, it's not been worth them. They haven't been bothered to vote. So that's something to keep an eye on, and as is the the performance of Reform, because Reform have done really well in those 2 northeast seats. So that's something else to keep a bit of an eye on as the night unfolds.
And has any of it shocked you, any of the results from the exit polls, or has it turned out the way you thought it would?
Well, it's there were some polls which predicted Labour having a much bigger majority of that, and the Conservatives down to below 100. So actually, this is, I suppose, in the middle of what some of the polls were expecting, but it's still a thumping majority for Keir Starmer.
Amazing. Thanks, Paul. Well, that's about it for the moment. Catch up with us again at 1 a.m. for another election update. Goodbye.
Goodbye.